Hi, I'm Jordan from Kettner Creative. In this video, we're going to show you how to set up and connect the Shure SM7B dynamic microphone to the GOXLR Mini audio interface for live streaming. In this video, we're going to show you how it sounds, how to connect it, and which settings I would use if I was streaming, and we're going to cover which settings I would use if I wasn't streaming, if I was just using this for general purpose recording. It is a little bit different, especially in the EQ section when we get there. Now, the Shure SM7B is notoriously high quality. It's a studio grade microphone, which makes it a favorite for live streaming. If you're watching this video, you probably already know a lot about this microphone and how it is so highly recommended for an application like this, especially if you're in a somewhat noisy environment like a house or something like that where you're living with roommates, there's other things going on, maybe you don't have a purpose-built studio and you do need good quality sound without picking up too much background noise. That's what this microphone is for. The GOXLR Mini is an awesome size and it has a ton of features that are built for live streaming. Again, you probably already know about them if you're watching this video, and the rest of this video now is just going to be about setting up and connecting these with the best possible settings. If you are looking for current pricing or specs for anything that you see in this video, we do have links down in the description below where you can find everything that you see in this video from a variety of online retailers to help you find the best price and the best quality as you're shopping around for audio equipment like this. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect the Shure SM7B to the GOXLR Mini. Now, I don't recommend using a cable like this that goes XLR to headphone jack and then using the jack on the front, the headset mic input. That preamp is not as good as the XLR preamp in the GOXLR Mini. So I do always recommend using a proper XLR to XLR cable. Most people just call them XLR cables. And then use that to connect the Shure SM7B to the GOXLR Mini. Now on the back of the Shure SM7B, as a general rule of thumb, I leave all the switches flat, so the high pass filter is flat and the mid boost is flat as well. Generally, especially with the EQ settings that we have with the GOXLR Mini, there's no sense doing that there. We have better control over exactly what we're trying to do with the EQ settings for the GOXLR Mini. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up our mic setup window here. And we're going to make sure that our gain is set up correctly. So previously you've been listening to the lav mic that I've clipped on my jacket, and now you can hear the Shure SM7B. You can see as I'm speaking into this microphone at a natural volume, about a fist away from the microphone. A lot of people get upset at me saying that the microphone's too far away in the comment section. With the camera angle here, it is an optical illusion. It is just a fist away. I do have fists that are quite large, but it is in that kind of 3 to 4.5 inch range, which is ideal. You want a distance for this microphone that is comfortable and that can stay at a similar distance throughout your live stream. If you set up your microphone and you're right up on the microphone like this, and then as you play or as you're live streaming, you get more relaxed, you're going to want to think about your approach to that and find a setting that is more comfortable to be in for a prolonged period of time. For me, I'm always really comfortable around a microphone about a fist away. Something like that is a really good consistent distance, and you don't need too much gain at that distance. So as you can see here, for me speaking, to get right in the good section on this mic meter, I'm using about 63 dB of gain today. Generally, if I'm really excited, then I'll be using somewhere around 61 dB. If I'm having a down day where I'm a little less, where I'm more low energy, if that makes sense, then it might be 64, 65. But the big thing here is watching this meter, just making sure that when you're speaking naturally, that you do get right in that good section there, and then you can close it. Now, I didn't mention this before, but obviously you want dynamic microphone. Condenser microphone plus 48 volts won't hurt this. If you are using a cloud lifter, which I don't think you need, then you would need the condenser microphone to power that cloud lifter, and you're definitely not supposed to be using the 3.5 millimeter setting with the Shure SM7B. Next, we have the noise gate. The noise gate is a powerful tool that you can use to unmute your microphone as you speak into it. Essentially, you have two variables. You have the threshold, which you can set, and when you exceed that volume of that threshold, when your microphone captures enough volume, it will break the noise gate and it will unmute the microphone. This is extremely common on things like drum kits. Every time I hit the snare, I don't want the floor tom mic or the rack tom or something something like that to hear the snare drum. That being said, if I'm hitting the floor tom, I want that floor tom mic to open up. So it's really effective on things like drum kits. In the live streaming world, it's not quite as critical, but you can use it if you have like a low grade fan or PC noise or something like that in the background, and you just want to mute the mic when you're not speaking right into it. Now, the downside of this is that you can actually hear the noise gate clicking in and out. If you're on a live stream with a game, it's no big deal. Oftentimes the game noise will mask it and you're set. But if you use it in a video like I'm doing right now, you can actually hear it and it is quite distracting. I'm going to put my headphones on. If you put your headphones on, you'll be able to hear what I'm talking about as I change these settings. So the first thing that we have here is the threshold. As I raise the threshold on the noise gate, you will hear it clicking in and out. If you're too aggressive, you will actually mute microphone as I'm speaking. That is definitely what you do not want to happen. So if you go too aggressive, the microphone will mute when you speak. You'll get clipped syllables. You'll miss the beginning and end of phrases. If you lean back from the microphone, there's a good chance the mic won't open. So you do want to be very conservative. For me, I keep it, if I do use this at all, it's somewhere around -55, just super conservative. So if I do stop talking, then it just turns off for a second. But here, I do just want to demonstrate over and over just so you can hear it clicking in and out. So I'm just going to start and stop talking here. You can hear that noise level in the background from the preamp just a little bit, clicking in and out. Now the attack and the release are how you control how fast the noise gate kicks in. 10 milliseconds and 200 milliseconds respectively are good, but it can be distracting if you have these settings too aggressive. For attenuation, this is how much the noise gate gates if it's activated. For me, I like being really conservative here as well. I set it somewhere around 50%. This way, when the mic is muted, you do still hear about 50% of the background noise. So it is more natural as the noise gate breaks over and over. But like I said, if you're playing a loud video game or something like that, it will mask the sound of the noise gate clicking in and out. But again, I keep it somewhere around -50. I generally will never go more aggressive than -45 unless there's a really, really specific reason for it. So next we have the microphone EQ. I just expanded the more advanced settings for the EQ. Now, a lot of people buy the Shure SM7B because it's a great sounding microphone. So if you're doing a talking head video like this one, you might want to consider just leaving that EQ flat. Let the microphone do the work that you bought this microphone for. That being said, with EQ, what we want to do is we want to make sure that our voice and our microphone is clear and it's punchy through the background noise that you're going to be live streaming with. If you're doing a video game, for example, you want to clear frequencies for the microphone and make sure that the microphone is punchy when it needs to be and it's not too muddy where it would interfere with game sound. A very good example of this is a band at a concert. You don't want the acoustic guitar in the same frequency range as an electric piano or keyboard. Those two will conflict and you won't be able to hear either instrument very well. But if you can put each instrument into a pocket of EQ, the kick drum over here, the bass guitar next, and so on throughout the frequency range, then you can actually stand back from your mix and you can hear each instrument well. That's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try and notch out this microphone and make it more clear, but make room for the game noise so you're not in constant frequency conflict with those frequencies. I am going to enable the fine tune here. This allows us to swing the frequencies here by about 100 hertz. So if I don't like the frequencies that they've accepted by default, then I can fine tune them here. So I'll walk through what I would select for each of them. For the 30 hertz here, I'm just going to turn this noise gate off just because I can hear it clicking in and out. I don't think it adds anything for this particular video. So for the 30 hertz here, I'm going to roll this all the way out. Basically what we're creating is what's called a high pass filter, but essentially we're taking the microphone out of the subwoofer at everybody's sub that's listening to this live stream. There's nothing useful from the vocal range in the sub. It will just make it more muddy, less clear, and really that's where you want to be hearing the game noise in the sub anyway. Generally, on any concert or any application, you're going to roll this out for a vocal mic just to clean it up. There's nothing really useful down there in that frequency range. Next, we're going to roll this second channel here to about 120. So what this is going to do if I can get it there, is by being at 120 here, we basically set the high pass filter or the bass roll off to come back to its full volume at 120 hertz. You might want to tweak this a little bit. If you are a female, you might want to consider rolling this down to about 100 hertz. I do think that that will make your voice a little stronger in the low end. For males, we have so much, generally speaking, low end there, especially myself. I've quite a low voice that if I put this high pass filter into 120, I have enough strength down there that it does still keep a lot of presence. Presence is important when you're trying to build trust. It's that old AM radio tone that this microphone is really good at reproducing. It builds trust and authority, and that's probably why you bought this microphone in the first place. We don't want to rob it of too much of that, but setting this to be at 0 here at the bottom, somewhere between 100 and 120 hertz is a really good idea. Next, we want to do a low mid cut. You're going to hear how this sounds. I'm going to set it to about 400 hertz. This is another move that I do quite commonly. See 398, I can't get it quite on, 409, somewhere in there. We're going to do a -2 here, and you're really going to hear this microphone open up. Something like -2, -3. I generally don't go too aggressive, but -2 is good. You can hear it just create that space in the microphone. This is where a lot of game sound comes in, and again, in that frequency for the vocal mic, it is just kind of muddy. By taking that out, it makes this microphone quite a bit more clear. You don't need that low mud there, so we're just going to clear that up. Next thing we're going to do is at 2.5K, we're going to go +2. And somewhere between 1.5 kilohertz and 3 kilohertz is really where the main intelligibility of the voice comes from. So by rolling this down to the low end of the available frequency swing here in the advanced enable fine-tune mode, we can get it as close to that as possible. You can see that we can't really, actually we can get pretty close. So we might want to do that on this one as well. So we might go +1 here. Something like this will create a nice wave here where the voice sounds nice and clear where it needs to be, but we're not cranking frequencies that won't add to the experience of the live streamers. Next, on the last one, we're going to take this all the way up to 10K, maybe 12K, and we're going to roll it down to about -2. Now again, there's nothing really useful for a vocal above 12K, but that is where a lot of special effects are in your game sound. So what we've done here is we've created more clarity, removed the frequencies that we don't need, punched up the ones that will add to intelligibility amongst competing game noises, and hopefully this will work for you with your game. You might need to tweak this a little bit. It is a little nuanced, but these are my general rules and general principles that I will use as a starting point, and it really is pretty easy to go right with this setting that I've chosen here in this video. Now the next section that we have here is the compressor. What the compressor does is it narrows the dynamic range or the volume range of your microphone. So if you're pretty emotional and you get really excited in the games, or if you sometimes fade throughout your live stream, this will help to maintain the volume of your microphone so you're not having to ride the faders up and down throughout your entire live stream. So as we lower the threshold here, you will hear the compressor kick in. I'm going to go to about -15. Now you don't hear the compressor kicking in yet because the ratio is set to 1:1. So I'm going to bump this up to 3:1 or 3.2:1, something like that sounds really good. I generally choose 3.2:1 or 4:1. Now you don't want to go too aggressive here, because what you're going to do is it's just going to sound like a limiter where you sound flat and unemotional. The worst thing any audio engineer could do is put a compressor on Adele, for example. You want her voice to be very dynamic. You want to hear the swings, the dynamics that she chooses when she sings, and you don't want to flatten it too tight. So 3.2:1 is pretty good here. Basically what this means is everything over -15 as we approach 0 is where we clip the microphone. Everything over -15 will get compressed at 3:1 or 4:1, whatever we choose here. That is a medium conservative setting, but it is still quite aggressive. If you think of us compressing it at 3 to every 1 part, that's quite aggressive, but I wouldn't go more than 4:1. 2:1, you don't really hear it. The attack and the release here are fine at 2 milliseconds and 100 milliseconds respectively. And then now we have the makeup gain. Since we compressed everything above -15. We do need to add a little bit more volume, so I'm going to do 5 decibels, something like that. You'll hear me getting a little bit louder now. So what we've done is we've squished the loud parts and we've raised the volume on the quiet parts, which narrows the dynamic range. I do wish that they had a meter here so you could see the squish of the compressor working. A lot of audio software does have that and it can be quite effective. But here, I hope that you can see throughout the progression of this video that our mic here became more clear, more punchy, and now it's really narrowed into that tighter range. It'll give you more trust and authority. It sounds much more like a broadcast here with this microphone setting, and I hope this will work for your live stream as well. Again, we do have pricing or specs for everything that you see in this video, so please check that out down in the description below. And if you have any questions, if there's anything I didn't cover with these microphone settings for the Shure SM7B and the GOXLR, please leave a comment down in the comment section below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.